Hello, my name is Dominic Lewington and I am the Director of Consultancy at Highmetric, a global elite ServiceNow partner. It's my great pleasure to be your host for our webinar series on the new Paris release of the ServiceNow platform and modules and applications to sit on top. We've got a really exciting program of interviews with some really impressive guest stars and sort of MVPs of the area to discuss some of their favourite features of the platform, of the applications, and their view on the future of both ServiceNow and industry. So please do enjoy and contact us on the links below if you have anything to discuss around Paris or ServiceNow or enterprise service management in general. Hello, so I'm here with Mark from ServiceNow discussing the Paris release today. Mark, can you just quickly introduce yourself, please, for anyone not fortunate enough to know you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so Mark Revill. So I've been with ServiceNow for just over 5 years now. Worked mainly in public sector when I first joined, and then moved over to the Alliance and Channels team probably about 2 or 3 years ago now. So one of my focuses is also on IT operations management, but obviously being an SC within ServiceNow, we tend to cover all of it.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Mark. All right, let's jump into it. Okay, thanks for joining us today, Mark. We're going to talk about IT operations management, ITOM, specifically in the Paris release. Okay, so obviously we've asked all our guest speakers this week, and you've been kindly obliged as last time we asked, just to ask you specifically, what's the one thing, again, with a theme of Paris being a city of romance, as it were, one thing you love about ServiceNow, the ecosystem, the product, the community, the partners, one thing you love about ServiceNow, Mark?
Okay, so I'll stick to my original answer, but I'll just keep it to one this time rather than seven. And that's ultimately the platform. Yeah, so the fact that you've got the platform which surrounds based on the whole of the other products as well. You've got the single workflow engines, you've got single CMDB. The platform for me is key. I've sort of grown up with it for the last 5 years, seen it expand, seen the way it works, see how easier it's got as well with things like moving away from workflow into flow design and areas like that. So to me, the platform really sets us apart. It's allowing us to do lots of things, but you're only having to learn things once.
Absolutely, and I think that low-code, no-code type approach you alluded to there is one thing I've seen as we've gone through Madrid, New York, Orlando, and now Paris, has proliferated across a lot of the different configuration pieces. It's more and more process folk and non-technical folk can build great workflows on the ServiceNow platform. So that's a really interesting answer. Okay, so now obviously we're talking about ITOM today, and there are 3 or 4 big pieces coming out in the Paris release. One thing that really caught my eye in terms of not really having a peer at the moment in the market is the concept of the firewall inventory management. What sort of value do you think that brings to the ITOM market, and how does it sort of plug into the rest of the ServiceNow ITAM offering? An ITOM offering, so firewall inventory
it's a good question. It sort of has been a slight move away from what we would typically see as IT operations management or AIOps. So the firewall inventory and the audit application, I think from a value point of view, actually gives us visibility within that sort of area that we potentially just had maybe before, just purely from a CMDB perspective, or it might send us alerts and things like that, but not actually what it does, how it's been set up, what the policies are around it, and are they the right policies, and are they all the same policies if they need to be, and also, firewalls are things that change. When we put mid-server in, we potentially ask people to change a firewall, so why can't we help around that change management as well as a platform, and look at that from that side? And I guess it extends from also what to me was a little bit of a surprise in Orlando, which was around the certificate management. Again, a big hole where people potentially don't necessarily understand when their certificates expire and what devastation it can have on their e-commerce if it does. Absolutely. So, again, I think it's complex areas that actually set us apart, and that's what we should be doing.
Also, I mean, really, really good answer, and actually interesting to bring up the certificate management piece, because these do seem to be big headline releases that do plug gaps within the ServiceNow offering, which certainly bring it up heads and shoulders against some of its peers in the market. So that's one quite specific piece around firewall inventory management. There are some other really quite exciting headlines when it comes to ITOM in the Paris release. What else is getting you excited, Mark, about ITOM in Paris?
It's a good point. There's a few things come up within Paris. So one of them for me that I actually quite like is this agent client collector. Might not be available straight away with Paris, but it will be during the Paris release time. So again, just to remember, of course, is some of these things potentially are available through the store and not necessarily will be part of the product. So that's not really an issue anymore from our perspective. We can bring things out of band. Which I love, and we obviously do with things like patterns and maps and stuff like that. But for me, this client monitoring is a first step in terms of what we can actually potentially utilize beyond what we've done in the past. So this is really aimed at things like event management, bringing it into our event management health, so the IOps side. And of course, with AIOps, you need to have the monitoring data as well. So bringing that data in as well to allow us to be more intelligent, using machine learning, have less manual rules, so that we can actually understand the dynamic world of services nowadays and be not only reactive to that, but be proactive to that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And the agent-based discovery and management and monitoring is actually certainly a very interesting proposition when it comes to discovery as well, eventually within the end user computing domain.
Certainly has the potential to be able to go down that route. Absolutely.
Yeah, really interesting proposition. Cool. Okay, well, thanks for that. So again, the question we've asked all our guests, and a question my customers ask me a lot of the time is, okay, Dom, how do we offer our customers a great experience, whether it be an IT experience, whether it be an employee experience or a customer experience? So how does having a solid, well-rounded ITOM practice help build a great IT experience for our customers?
Okay, so I know I've only got a short amount of time to talk about this, and I've been in this industry for 30 years, and I spent my first 12 years doing this stuff, doing the IT operations management stuff. So to me, something we've always talked about is being able to manage this and be proactive about it, and we've probably failed most of the time at being proactive. I think now when we're getting into machine learning, we're starting to be proactive. And ultimately, to us as an IT, because this is still quite IT focused, what this means is we can give back to the business to keep the lights on more, to be more, have more uptime, don't have downtime, understand when problems are starting to self-heal. I think that all that's really key. And the whole of our operations management suite allows us to do that. We understand what we've got out there. We understand when we have problems. We just manage that. And we can become more proactive, because when we see similar things, we go from reactively solving them to proactively solving them, which should ultimately mean the business doesn't see the downtime.
Yeah, absolutely perfect answer about being proactive, and again, building those experiences based on knowing about issues, knowing about instance problems, and actually fixing these pieces before it impacts the performance or the consumption of service for any of your customers, I think is absolutely key. Moving in terms of the maturity model from the reactive to the proactive is probably the number one piece for me you can do to increase the user experience. Cool. Okay, so one thing we've tried to do with all our guests, and you've been very generous with your time today, is just to try and get sort of some nuggets of information or sort of your understanding on the future direction of ServiceNow, especially when it comes to IT operations management. Do you have any sort of interesting piece you want to share with us, or at least your own idea of where we might end up in terms of ServiceNow and IT operations management over the next few years?
Yeah. So again, I still think a lot of it will be around automation and the machine learning. So understanding where the problems occur. We're starting to be there, but there's still potentially a way to go. I think that's probably one of the main areas. As we know, they brought out the firewall side of things. I wasn't expecting that this time. So again, there's still gaps that we can fill that probably I've not even thought about. But actually, the agent collector actually excites me quite a bit, because we could potentially do so much more with that. Give you the option to be agentless or agent, but we can actually extend what we do by utilising that.
Absolutely, I 100% agree with that. Flexibility to offer an agentless and agent-full approach to discovery, management, monitoring, I think is certainly something that will excite my customers, that's for sure, as we get there, as we move along the roadmap. Okay, Mark, well, you've been very kind with your time. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll speak with you again soon.
It was a pleasure, Dom.